Now, the Boston Journal of Chemistry noted that there were some 50 cases of spontaneous human combustion between 1725 and 1847. And this is a 1763 classic on the subject that was put out in book form. The majority of victims were hard drinkers and were around open flames when they started to be consumed in this early period. A later treatise in the 1870s also indicated that victims were older drinkers, most often women, and often left with unburned clothing in a heap near the ashes of their body. Water seemed to increase the combustion. Now, various scientific journals up to the present have confirmed the phenomena, but offered very little explanation. This is a picture of a young victim of spontaneous human combustion shortly before he died. And this is his mother a short time later. All they found was a few ashes on the floor. This is a British teenager, 19 years old, Paul Castile. And he was walking down the street in England and suddenly burst into flame. And instead of having no pain, he was in acute pain. And suddenly, for no reason at all, he stopped burning. While he was burning, he said his mind was racing and it was like being plunged in the heart of a furnace. He could almost hear his brains bubbling, he said. He was writhing and moaning and curling up in a ball. He thought he was dying. There's no smoke, no flames. It took him a great deal of time to recover from the burns, but he did recover. And these are pictures from a national tabloid magazine, 1985. October 1981 Science Digest, there was an article on human fireballs, and in the drawing below we have what is left of a Dr. Bentley. And though the heat was burned up most of Bentley's body, at about 3,000 degrees, it was estimated, the rubber tips on his walker didn't even melt. Now, Charles Fort was a strange phenomena gatherer of a few years back, and he mentioned several cases of spontaneous human combustion in his book, The Book of the Damned. There's a similar phenomena that's recorded throughout history, and that is where the weapons of soldiers turn into flame. What actually occurs during such events? Well, it's a short circuit between two major energies of the body components. One mind component, for example, does not run on the usual kinetic electricity of the brain. But this now is a subject covered at length in the modern human texts. Now, alcohol in these cases tends to hinder the normal clean switching between the three minds, and it aggravates the proper emotional functioning so that sometimes there can be a short circuit. The subject of mermaids has long been categorized in the field of fantasy and wishful thinking, I suppose, but let's take a deeper look. Mermaids, or sirens, were once thought to lure sailors into the sea so that they could drown them. Many, many beautiful paintings depicted as much. Mermaids are mentioned in many of the classical tales. The Arabian Nights, for instance, span about 3,000 years of history. And in this particular story, Abdul the fisherman pulled in the mermaid, and he was aware that she was one of the jinn of Solomon, and so he fled. He was deathly afraid of her. Well, many sightings all over the world of mermaids, and many saw a mermaid off the Scottish shores in 1909, 1809. In earlier times, there were many mermaid species all over the globe, according to historians. The English saw them regularly off their coast, and dugong and manatee have no doubt been mistaken for mermaids, as the experts explain, but numerous close-quarter accounts have them resembling humans, much too closely to dismiss as some fish theories. There were many fakes to be true because of the demand. Fake mermaids were being made up all over the years in Europe by 19th century fishermen and European taxidermists. And these often found their way in traveling fairs and circuses of the time. Well, this is what a good imagination can do on behalf of a good artist. There are many fairy tales that have been woven around the mermaid legends, of course. The classical painters have long stirred the imagination in this direction. Beautiful examples such as this. Well, while the scientific persons thought up ways to disperse or nullify the numerous sightings of mermaids, there is much evidence to substantiate the reports. 1820 journal told of a mermaid which spent hours looking over an American ship. She was before the whole crew, and the upper portion was exactly like a human, and the lower portion was just like a fish. Well, in 1982, an edition of Zoology, the magazine, shocked readers with an article by Ray Wagner, who actually saw a mermaid. He claimed to have talked to many intelligent persons all over New Guinea who swore that there were still mermaids in the area, and they were called Ree by the natives. And the New Guinea people assumed that the rest of the world also accepted the Ree, because even their cans of tuna sometimes carried their picture, they said. Your food, many of your things, your matchbooks, carry pictures of mermaids. What do you mean you don't know about them? Well, according to the reports, there were several mermaids have been captured there at various times. But normally the Ree try to stay clear of all the natives because some tribes still eat them. And Ree meat is still sold in some of the southern island areas. And every time the Ree get friendly with the natives, who are incidentally darker and sometimes even uglier than the Ree, they have problems. And while the Ree do not talk as humans, they whisper and whistle among each other. Wagner said the only facial feature different from humans was a little strangeness in the mouth area. And to persons in the area, the idea of Ree being an ugly dugong sea cow was a big joke. And later, zoologists returned to the area after the controversial article and confirmed Wagner's first story. Well, there probably isn't anything more unlikely than a mermaid, or maybe it would be a cyclops. The one-eyed cyclops are well known in legends, but few persons take them seriously. And actually, ancient tradition points to them as a possible reality, and several cycloptic skulls with a single eye socket and a double set of teeth have been found and dug up over the years. Well, according to tradition, the cycloptic species was created by a group of alien lords or gods of the ancient world. They needed a fierce overseer species to keep the animal-man species in line, and they genetically created this lineage. Well, the origin of the Cyclops are said to be the legendary Isle of Shambhala, which was somewhere in what is now the Gobi Desert. And it was here that the Cyclops were created and bred and were sent to various colonies. Throwbacks occasionally occur, and a famous example was a Miss Clement of France, who was